Hello, this is the Progressive Cynic, and in this video I'll be talking about Pope Francis. Now, 90% of the time when I talk about religious figures in regard to their political or social actions, I'm talking about some crazy right-winger trying to impose their views on others, oppress minorities, or just simply make sure that kids are forced to learn their religious mythology rather than actual science in the classroom. Pope Francis has done none of these things and is the dramatic exception to this rule. Now, Pope Francis is honestly a really good guy. As far as I can tell, he's probably the best representative of the Catholic Church I have seen in a long time. He lives in just a normal housing unit, unlike the previous popes who have lived in incredible opulence. He has said some extremely nice things or extremely wise things on economics and poverty that I will get into later, and has actually done a great deal to be a bit more humble than previous popes and more accepting of people who church really has been confrontational to in the past. For example, a couple of months after he was elected as pope, Pope Francis did part of the tradition where the Pope washes and kisses the feet of some people to show humbleness, and it's a bit of a tradition in the Vatican. Well, this year, instead of washing the feet of some religious people, some bishops or cardinals, he brought in prisoners, including several Muslim prisoners and several Jewish prisoners, and washed their feet and kissed their feet. This is a remarkable change from previous years and is indicative of just how different this Pope is. Just last week, it was leaked that Pope Francis actually sneaks out of the Vatican some nights with a small group of other high-ranking religious figures in the Catholic Church and ministers to poor people. He gives them food, sometimes clothing, and he just talks to them. I mean, this is a good guy. And it's honestly a really nice change by Pope standards. I can't picture Pope Benedict, who honestly, I think he looks like the Emperor from Star Trek, or Star Wars. I mixed those two up, from Star Wars, and he would wear the pointy red shoes and just generally, he was not a nice guy. Well, this Pope is, as I've said before, different. In addition to his more philanthropic nature, Pope Francis has said several extremely good things in regard to economic inequality and just general inequality. Here are a few quotes from Pope Francis. If someone is gay and he searches for the Lord and has goodwill, who am I to judge? Okay, so the Pope is cool with gay people. That's that's a shocker to say the least. In the past, the church has had a staunch position that gay people are going to hell even if they are good people otherwise, and that it doesn't matter because their gayness overrides everything. Well, according to the Pope, who is he to judge? If someone is a good guy and they also happen to be a gay, and they also happen to be gay, or a good woman and also happens to be a lesbian, okay. I mean, he's not judging them. God has redeemed all of us with the blood of Christ. All of us, not just Catholics, everyone, even the atheists, everyone. Well, apparently, Pope Francis believes that atheists can go to heaven because they have been redeemed just as long as they are good people. That is also shockingly different from other popes. Here's something he said on economic inequality. I think this is a very smart quote. While the income of minorities is increasing exponentially, that of the majority is crumbling. This imbalance results from ideologies which uphold the absolute autonomy of markets and financial speculation, and thus deny the right of control to states, which are themselves charged with providing for the common good. A new, invisible, and at times virtual tyranny is established, one of which unilaterally and irredeemably imposes its own laws and rules. Moreover, indebtedness and credit distance countries from their real economy and citizens from their real buying power. Added to this, as if it were needed, is widespread corruption and selfish fiscal evasion which have taken on worldwide dimensions. The will to power of possessions has become limitless. In this quote, the Pope goes into economic inequality, the corruption that comes when money starts buying politics, tax evasion by the rich, and the general downtroddenness of the vast majority of society as a small portion of the people on the top capture more of the money. Well, congratulations, we have economically progressive Pope. There's no other word for it. And look, that's a good speech. Take the religion out of it. That's a smart way of quantifying the problems we're facing right now. Huge number of people are being left out in the cold, while a small number of people at the top take all the money, evade taxes, and then leave all of their responsibilities to society by just taking their money elsewhere. As the Pope said, it's a worldwide problem, and it distances rich people from the society which they belong to. Here's another quote on the same subject. Some people continue to defend trickle-down theories, which assume that economic growth encouraged by a free market will inevitably succeed in bringing about greater justice and inclusiveness in the world. This opinion, which has never been confirmed by the facts, expresses a crude and naive trust in the goodness of those wielding economic power and in the sacralized workings of the prevailing economic system. Meanwhile, the excluded are still waiting. That's nearly perfect. I mean, you can't argue with that. Trickle down has failed, and, well, wealth centralization at the top, and, as the Pope said, meanwhile, the excluded, i.e., 90% of us, are still waiting for it to trickle down and actually benefit us. I honestly could not have predicted that I would be saying this a couple years ago. We should listen to the Pope on this. I mean, personally, I'm not religious at all. I'm as far from someone who believes in religion as possible. But if you just strip the religion out of it, this guy is speaking a lot of good things. Look, he has a podium and he's using it for a good cause, so I'm not going to complain. He's also, look, overall, I think he's a very important figure in this new Catholic Church, or at least if he manages to transform the Catholic Church to follow more along the lines of what he's saying as opposed to what they've been in the past. I think it's the only way that the Catholic Church is going to survive much longer with the horrible scandals facing them. I mean, they did, in Bill Maher's words, preside over a decades-long scandal of the systematic fucking of children. That's kind of hard to live down. Now, I'll just conclude in saying, well, there are two things the Pope needs to address. He's done very well on these previous issues, and I'm all with him. I mean, equality for all people, including gay people, ministering to the poor, and talking about the terrible economic inequality we're facing us. That's a good start. Two things that the Pope needs to do. First, he needs to include women in the hierarchy of the Catholic Church, because women are still not allowed to be priests, and the Catholic Church is still not that friendly towards women in terms of power structure. That needs to change. This is the 21st century, and we can't have that type of misogyny carrying over into the next. It needs to end. Second thing he needs to do, he needs to immediately handle this sexual abuse of children issue. Doesn't matter how he deals with it. He just needs to get on it and get on it quickly. Personally, I think that every priest to be involved in that should be excommunicated, and then all the files about their abusive action should be sent to whatever relevant authority that there is. I mean, Polish authorities, German authorities, British authorities, American authorities, you name it. They should just dump those files on the police and say, yeah, our predecessors screwed up. They protected these really bad people. We're not doing that anymore. please prosecute them. We're sorry about doing this in the past, and we're going to do better into the future. That's what I would do. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if he were to buck the conventional wisdom and do at least one of these two things before the end of his tenure. That is, if the rest of the Catholic Church doesn't get fed up with his blatant hippiness and find some way to remove him from office or just make it impossible for him to do anything. Thank you. This has been The Progressive Cynic. Please follow my blog, theprogressivecynic.com, and my YouTube channel.